Hello team, welcome. So for our viral sample collection and result received, there is a new guideline, and that guideline is a walkthrough I'm going to give us now. And obviously we've been documenting sample collection and result received, and we can see the date of result received on our reports. So this is going to have to help us do that and do that correctly. Of course, right into it, we capture, input our credentials, and then log into NMRAs. Search for the clients, and let's say Okafor Onyeka, Onyeka rather, Okafor is the child, is a person of interest. So we select that. And now the next thing we'll want to do is to select the date of visits. Now take note, the date of visit should be the same date as the date of sample collection because it is the date of encounter with our clients. So we would expect that that date that we had encounter with our clients is the date we collect the sample from that client. So let's say the sample was collected on the 15th of August 2024. So I'll add my past visits, and the date would be 15th August 2024, and I'll confirm. And when this is done, this interface called opens up. Of course, the client is on ART program, so I'll select this. So now we'll have to choose lab forms, and then at this point, prior to now, we would have to fill the sample collection form for sample collection, and then come back to fill lab order form for the results. But the directive going forward is that for every sample collection and result received, we are only going to be using the lab order form. So we are not going to use sample collection form going forward. So for this sample collection for Okafor Onyeka, we select lab order form. When we select that, of course, like I said earlier on, this visit date, which is the encounter date, is the same as the date of sample collection. So when you open this form, the next thing you need to do is to go down to the viral load section, since that is what is going to, that's the service we want to render these clients. Select on this viral load form, and then you see the different fields, viral load test, select that, and you see the different fields that you need to capture for that client. Now, once that is done, now the next thing we need to do is to allocate the sample ID to that client. And of course, this is an activity that should be conducted by the lab team. So the concern here is that we should ensure the lab team should ensure to allocate unique sample IDs to each sample. So a client would not have any time in his or her record where two different samples have the same sample ID, or two different samples of the client on a particular database have the same ID. So the scenario, the formats, which might include maybe month of sample collection and year of sample collection, could possibly suffice for sample ID. For instance, we may want to say that this particular client's sample ID is ANA slash 01, that's January, and then 2024, and then 0019, that's the 19th sample collected for the year for this facility. Is the sample that was collected for Okafor Onyeka on the 15th of August 2024. So, and when this is done, the next thing is to capture the sample type. Of course, it might be whole blood plasma separation card, whole blood or plasma separation cards, or DPS, or whatever it is. Select as appropriate. Indication, let's say for instance within 12 months, and sample collection dates. Now this sample collection date notes should be the same date as the date you had that encounter with that client where that sample was collected. And of course the encounter date was on the 15th of August, so that should be the sample collection date. So I'll say 15th of August is the sample collection date, and then sample sent to PCR lab. Where you have these dates, you capture it. If you don't have it, you leave it blank. Date sample received at PCR lab also. Now, date result sent from PCR lab, then date result received at the facility. Now, these fields, this date result received at facility and result dates are compulsory fields that you must have to fill. Now, before we get to that, we have just captured parameter with respect to sample collection. I think the last parameter with respect to sample collection is the date sample received at PCR lab. So once you have done this, the next thing you need to do is just to go down, and then you will have name of clinician, That's the person who requested for that or who ordered for that sample. For now, we have super user, and then the date of that order. Now we have the date of that order was the date that sample was collected, which is on the 15th. Okay, once you're done with this, just hit the save button, and that sample is saved. Now the next thing we need to do is when the result comes back, what do we do? When the result is back, we don't need to go back to add past visit because we already had a visit where that sample was collected. And like I said earlier on, we document that sample collection with a lab order and result form. So when the result comes back, we go back to that same form and update. So that means I'll come to recent activities or recent visits and check for that date that sample was collected. That's 15th of August. Open it up. When that opens up, of course, it's here. I'll come to this pencil icon and click to edit the form. Now, once that opens up, I'll just go down to that viral load section and then document the rest of the fields. Now, what are the fields that we'll need to document now? Date result was sent from PCR lab. If you have it on the form, you capture it. If you don't have, ignore it. Now, date result was received at the facility. Please, every result received at the facility should have this date, the date it was received. So this date is not the date you document this result on the EMR. It is the date the result was received. So, for instance, if this result was received on the 16th of August, that's Friday, and I'm documenting it today, Monday, for some reasons, all I need to do is I have to choose the date I'll choose as the date result was received will be 16th of August because that's the date the result actually came in. So I chose 16th. And note that the date result was received at the facility will be the same as the result date. So when you chose this date, the same date will replicate itself here in the result date. And now let me also say that these two fields, sorry, they're actually three. They're actually three. Three fields are compulsory. What are the fields? The date result was received at the facility. Of course, all the fields are compulsory though, but to help us see our date result received on our reports, we must ensure that these three fields are documented accordingly. Date result was received at the facility, result date, and then when you go down to sign out, this other part that says the date reported. So make sure you report on these fields, the three of them. Now remember that the date result was received at the facility would be the same as the result date. And of course, these are just different nomenclature speaking to the same thing. And also this result date or date result was received at the facility will be the same as the date reported. So on this place, you also chose 16th of August and then capture the reported by, which is the DEC or the M&E person that's doing the documentation. Once this is done, if you have the checked by documented on the results, you can do that and choose the date also. But you don't have that, you just save this form the way it is. So what I just do, I come over and save it, and that will be all for that form. So we can see our viral load has been updated accordingly. If you go to the form, you'll see that all those details are intact, and then you can actually, they're all intact. And then when you generate your report, you'll be able to see the date of current viral load. So this means that for those of us that did not capture our, for those of us that did not capture these details accordingly, we'll need to go back and capture them. But before I end this, just take note that I omitted some part of the results. You on the result, if you have the assay dates, you'll also need to capture the assay date. If you have the approval date, you capture it. Now, the next session is the session that speaks about the result itself, alphanumeric result. So when you click on this, where you are having the result of less than 20 or less than 40 or less than 30 or whatever, ignore those ones. When you click on this drop down, come down to numeric value, the last item, and then come down here and capture the results. If the result is 80, you capture 80. If it is 90, you capture 90. If it is less than 20, you capture 19. If it is less than 40, you capture 39. Less than 40, capture 39. Less than 20, capture 19. And then apart from that, any other value, you capture the value as it is, and then save. So that's the part I omitted. So once you are done with that, you are done with the viral sample or collection and viral load result received for that particular sample. So this is that. If you have any other concern, we can actually reach out to me for subsequent guidance. So that'll be all for now. See you in the next video.